everybody. So today I'm going to talk about how to do a pretty quick and simple chignon. And there's a couple different ways to do it, but this is one of my go-to ways to do a chignon, especially when I want to do it fast and I want it to be really low and more simple looking and not have a ton going on. So this is one way to do a chignon. Okay, so I have my beautiful model here and I have sectioned out the front part of her hair. So that is just the hair from above her ears toward the top of her head, and I'm gonna save this for last. And then I'm gonna take the rest of this hair, and mind you, it's been prepped. So I have some product in it, I have some texturizing spray in here, I've curled the ends a little bit, so it's ready to go. And her hair, you know, it's a bleach blonde mannequin, so it's easy to manipulate. And so this style is going to be a little bit trickier on someone who has super heavy hair, someone whose hair is really thin and fine. It's easy to see through the chignon when someone's hair is too fine. So this is good for someone who has sort of medium thickness, who has maybe some damage in it, so it's good and textured. That's what I would recommend for this style. So just keep that in mind when working with it. Okay, so what you're gonna do is take the hair that's about the top of the ear over on each side, and you're gonna gather it together. So I'm gonna just divide the hair actually, for simplicity's sake, this way. And you're gonna leave from the ear down, you're gonna leave that out. And this is the hair that you're gonna pin. So we're gonna take this and gather it to the center, so you can see like this, and I'm gonna pin it here. And I want it to be pretty low, because this hair is going to come up and sweep into it, okay? So you don't want it to be too high, otherwise your chignon is going to be long. So you want it to be a little bit lower so your chignon goes into a nice little bump there. So you want to make a little line of bobby pins that go across the back. So I'm just going to use probably about 4, depending on her hair thickness. And like I said, I've already prepped this. There's a lot of texturizer in here. There's hairspray, it's a little bit back combed, and so all those things are going to help to make this stay really nicely. And something that you want to make sure that you do, that I'm already not doing very well, is making sure you get it tight on each side. So the reason being is, if you don't get this side tight right here, this is going to get loose and puff out, and you don't want that to puff out because you'll see that in the front. So this part needs to be pretty secure, because that's going to be tucked away into this chignon. All right, so you're kind of like that, you see? So you have a little base of bobby pins there. I'm going to put one more in over here, just to be sure. And then what you want to do is make sure the top is how you want it, because this top is how they're going to see it. So if you want to pull it out, check with your gal, make sure she's got enough volume at the top here. And if you find that the bobby pins are loosening, then I recommend going through and putting a few more in the back to make sure it's really secure. And like I said, if she has really thick hair, you're gonna need to use quite a few to make sure this all stays really nicely. All right, so this is how I want it to be from the front, not a lot of volume. And you can see now I have 2 sections. I have this section that's bobby pinned and this section that I left down. With this bobby pin section, what you're gonna do is back comb it. And you can back comb it a little bit underneath and a little bit on top. And the reason is because this is going to be your base for the chignon for the hair to go over. So depending on how big you want it to be, if they have long hair and you want it to be a really big chignon, you can really back comb this really big, and then we're going to roll it up, okay? So this size is going to determine how big your chignon is. So you're going to take this, take the ends of it, roll it up into itself, and actually don't go up too high, because this will all come up really high then, and you're gonna have a high chignon. So you want it actually to go low and tuck underneath the bobby pins that you already laid here. So I'm rolling it, and I'm gonna pin it underneath these bobby pins, just like this. The reason that I'm doing it underneath is because I'm gonna pull this hair up and I'm gonna tuck it into these bobby pins as well. So if I put this up over there, then I won't have these bobby pins to secure this bottom part in. So I'm pinning here. And this is where you actually kind of want to get the shape of your chignon. So you can see it's a little bit uneven on this side. So I want to go through and make sure it's even, because this will determine the shape of the bottom part. So if this doesn't look good, then your bottom part when you pull it up won't look that good. So you want to make sure it's a nice even bun. You can give it a little bit of spray. All right, now the tricky part is getting this part to come up nice and smooth. So you want to take a look at it and make sure it's even. Like I said, mine isn't quite even, so I want to make sure it is. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do this in 3 sections. I'm going to divide this into 3, and I'm going to start with this side, and you're going to back comb a little bit internally, so on the inside here, and then I'm going to be rolling it up and pulling it over. So I want to back comb inside and not out here because this is the part that people are going to see. And the other thing is I don't want this to be loose because otherwise I'll be able to see through it and you don't want to see a hole. So that's why I'm standing on this side, so I can make sure, oops, throwing combs around here. Okay, got it back. All right, so I'm going to pull this side, the very top of this, a little bit more taut than down here. So you can see I'm pulling this so this part's a little bit tighter. If I have this loose, you'll see a hole and you don't want to see that hole. So that's why this is going to go a little bit tighter, okay? So I'm back combing here, pulling this side a little bit tight, the side facing me, and I'm going to roll it up like so, and making sure this side is pulled tight. And I just put my finger in there, and then I can use my pin to pin into the bobby pins that you have right there to make sure it's nice and secure. So I open it and push it into those. Okay, so on this side, I don't want this hole. So I just want to make sure to pull it tight here, and then if you still see a little bit of a hole, you can actually put a pin inside right there so it's flat against the head rather than popping out, okay? Now I'm going to do my middle section, and I'm going to go ahead and back comb on the inside again. And then you can make sure it's smooth and connects with the other side. So you don't want to see 3 equal sections. You want to kind of comb it up like this so the 2 sections connect. I'm going to do the same thing where I roll this in and then take a pin and pin it into the bobby pins that I already have in there. So I'm opening the pin, grabbing the hair, and pushing it down into this bobby pin roll that I created in the beginning, okay? And then I'm going to come over and do this side. Now we're going to do the same thing where we back comb this way. And again, remember, this is a lot of product in it already. So if you haven't prepped the hair good, this isn't going to back comb well. So you really want to spray a lot of texturizing spray in there so it back combs really well and it stays and doesn't get floppy. All right, so I'm combing this side, you can see, so it's a little bit tighter. And then making sure this is combed up, and you can use your tail end of your comb to make sure they're connected and you don't have 3 separate sections. So pulling this a little bit tighter, and then I'm going to take the top, roll it in like that. Now you can see this is starting to pop out, and because I don't want that to do it, if I pull this too tight, then the bottom might come up too high. So in this scenario, I want to show you what you can do is put your comb in here, okay? You can see how it gets flat against the head there. So I'm going to hold it here, hold my fingers here, okay, so I know how much tension I need to have between the two. I'm going to pin this first into the bobby pins that I created, so it's nice and secure. And then I'm going to go through and put a bobby pin in here. So you want it to be flush against the head like that. So I'm going to go through, stick a bobby pin, and it's kind of going to the nape of the neck and smoothing this through because I don't want anyone to see into the chignon. That's not cute. And you can put a couple in there depending on how much it's popping out. And then the other trick is you can just gather this end piece like this with the bobby pin and kind of comb it up and stick it in the top there. Okay, so you can see I have a big chignon, and you want to make sure that it's spread out and connected. So I'm going to use my tail comb to kind of pull through like that and make sure there aren't any gaps. So sometimes if they want it to be really textured, then you can go ahead and kind of, you know, make it more piecey like that. But for this sake today, we want it to be smoother. So I'm connecting it with my tail comb and making sure this is nice and tight. So if this seems like anything's popping out up there, you can go ahead and use your bobby pin to kind of double down in there like that, okay? So even though I have a little bit showing on each side, the beautiful thing is that's what I have these front pieces for. So I've saved these out so I can cover a little bit of that. So in this case, her hair is pretty easy to do a little back combing here. You could braid it, you can twist it, and I can just kind of pull it loose like this and twist it over the top. And then you can kind of use a bobby pin here to fill that in if you need to. And I'll just pin it into the bobby pin row that I already have on this side, and then I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm pulling it, and in this case I'll give it a little twist, a bit backwards so you can see, and I'm pulling it across the back. And if you can do a little braid here, a little twist, it looks really pretty. And then I'll pull it across, and I'm actually just gonna take this and tuck it into this side. So I'll put a little bobby pin in here and push it in, and then tuck the tail into this side so you don't see bobby pins on either side. And if I need to go through and put pins in, what I'll do is put them in where I kind of grab the hair like this and go back towards me. And so that makes it secure without actually seeing any bobby pins. So you can see this is nice and smooth. And from the beautiful side angle, it's a nice profile. From the top, it's nice and loose, and you have the volume that you created in the beginning, and it's nice and smooth on the back. So this is just really simple, a really good way to do a nice and easy chignon. And like I said, if you want this to be smaller, you can make that back comb piece portion on the inside tighter. If you want it to be bigger, you can make the back comb portion bigger. You just have to be mindful of how much length that you have, because if you don't have very much length, you're not gonna have enough hair to swoop up and around. And like I said, this works really well with a lot of textured hair types and with a lot of texture spray, because this needs to last all night. And if the hair is really loose or doesn't have enough prep to it, it's gonna start to slip out. So that's my tip for the simple chignon. I hope you liked it. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment if there's something that you'd like to see. I'd love to do more tutorials based on what people like. Anyway, thank you. We'll see you next time.